So my name is Mario Viviani, and I'm technology evangelist for Amazon App Store. So a couple words about me. So what is an evangelist? So my role is basically to engage with you guys, to engage with the community of the developers, and to make sure that you're up to date on the Amazon App Store platform and ecosystem and devices. Actually, before joining Amazon, I've been an Android developer for many years, for more than 6 years. Published a lot of apps and got lots of downloads on my apps during the years. And I've been working with Google as well as a Google developer expert for 3 years. And being part of the startup community, I've been part of co-working spaces. And so basically, during all these years, I matured a lot of knowledge and understanding about how app stores work and what are the best practices, how you can make your app successful on app stores. And so I thought it would be cool today to share these best practices with you and to understand together how you can make your app successful and how you can make more downloads and more revenue on your apps. So now I want to ask you a question. Who wants to be rich of you? Raise your hands. What if I tell you, like, earn money when you sleep? Or, you know, don't even have to bother creating apps and just make money. Sounds good, right? It's awesome. So now let's see how we can do this, right? So first thing, like, why do you even bother creating apps? It's like boring. It's a complex task, right? So what about just like taking someone else's APK and publish it on another store? It's easy, right? Enrique just explained us how to decompile an app. Just take it and publish it somewhere else. That's easy. Or, okay, maybe you just don't want to take all of it. But you know, like creating graphical assets and design your app, and that's a complex task as well. So why don't we just like tear open another people's APK file, just take what we need and take the IP that we need, put it in our app and just publish it. So borrow stuff, why not? Or what about like calling your app Microsoft Office? Sounds good, right? Who will ever think that we're not actually from Microsoft? So what about like misleading a little bit, like using a name which is similar to something else just for the sake of downloads? Sounds good, it's easy. Why creating a new name? It's there. Or, you know what, sometimes one of the most important part of ranking your app in the app stores is reviews, right? And what about that time that you have created an app which is so ugly that you go to your mom and say, "Mom, can you give me 5 stars?" And she looks at it and says, "No, it's so ugly, I won't even rate it 5 stars. So what, even your mother is not doing that? Why not to pay for it? There are a bunch of services where you just pay money and they give you 5 stars, or create bots. They say, this app is awesome, 5 stars, and that's it. Why do you even bother? Or, you know, some app stores actually have review processes. And, you know, we actually check if your app is fine and if it's not harmful to users. So what if we just said, you know, your app's not fine, please fix this. And what about like keeping pushing the same app, say, you know, I will publish it like 10 times, maybe just changing the name. It will just slip through them. Who will ever notice? Or what about like adding some more fancy stuff, like, I don't know, adding a keylogger to our app or game just to track people's passwords and then selling to the best offer? Why not? Like, all this stuff just makes our life easier, and we can do it to make money fast. No, right? Like, don't do this. So basically all the stuff that I just said, these are actually the best practices to be banned from stores. And so this is exactly the stuff that you should not do. And also all these steps, all these sneaky tips are actually put in practice by a lot of malicious developers. So we need to be careful about this, right? So what happened during the last years? What happened is that there's been a great democratization in development, right? So there are better tools for development, and it's much easier to create apps now than it was many years ago. This actually led to a good thing for users, which is better selection. We have more apps, which is awesome. So you can choose from different apps. There's pretty much an app for anything you want to dream of. But for developers, this is actually kind of a big deal. And why is that? Because when there are starting to be hundreds of thousands of apps, what is the biggest problem? The biggest problem is discovering. How will people actually will know about my app? So app stores are actually trying to fit in front of a lot of eyeballs. But actually there are a few steps, a few tasks that we as developers, we can accomplish to make our life easier when it comes to ever more downloads and ever a better ranking on the app stores. So the first thing is to protect ourselves. We need to make sure that we are not the victims of these sneaky tips that we just saw. So again, sneaky tips are never worth it. It's never worth to compromise your reputation as a developer. So I know that sometimes the fast way is appealing, but for example, if you do malicious tasks, or it could be jeopardizing your revenue, what if your account gets banned, right? It's a difficult task to again reopen a new one. So you need, for example, you need a new bank account, you need new credentials. It's not obvious. You can jeopardize your revenue, so don't do that. And of course, ruin your reputations. There are a lot of press around Android apps, and if it comes out that you're a malicious developer and you're doing harm to your users, it's a very big deal. So one other thing that you can do is to pay attention to all the app stores. And actually, this is important from different perspectives. So the first one, as I said, for protection, is to make sure that no one is actually pirating your app, that no one is taking your app and publish it on somewhere else. At the same time, if it's you to publish your app on different app stores, first of all, you're protecting yourself because no one can republish the same app again. The package name is unique. And then, of course, it's a good strategy on a business side because you're opening an alternative revenue stream, an alternative channel for monetization for you. So it's a win-win. Defend your copyrights. So this is very important. So there is no global legislation about apps. There is no patent for apps. There is no patent. You cannot have patent on your app. Basically, all the app stores are actually referring to an American law, which is called the MCA, which is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which is basically defines how all the dissertations between an infringer of copyright and the owner of the copyright should deal with each other, which is it's not a perfect law. I mean, it works fine in the US, but for example, in Europe or in Italy, it's kind of difficult to deal with this DMCA. So first of all, you need to retain the copyright of your app. So you will be surprised of how many developers, let's say for example, they create the design of their app, the graphical assets, and they don't keep and save in a repository the actual projects they'll be working on, like the Photoshop or Illustrator projects. This is very important because you might be able to prove that you are the actual owner of that copyright. You need to demonstrate that you were the first to have that idea and to have that particular asset. And again, so be careful with it. Have a contact of each app store. Now, for Amazon App Store, you have one, so add me on Twitter. And again, it's very important to have a contact, to have an actual person, a point of reference. So here at Droidcon, it's good because there's a bunch of people from different app stores. So now for App Store, you know one. And why is that important? Because you might run into an issue. You might have a problem. and you want to be able to have answers about it, right? Also, it's, again, from a revenue perspective, from a monetization perspective, it's very good because what if you have a very cool app and you want to get the spotlight on it? You have someone to talk to, someone that you can say, you know what, this very cool app is having good downloads. Can you please check it? So now you know who to contact. Join user groups. This is very important. So you're here attending an event, talking to other developers, which is great. And you should keep doing this. So there are a lot of different developer groups, affiliations, and even actually bigger paid corporate of developers. So it's important because when you are more than one, when you're making a group, you can share ideas and you can understand what other people are doing and how are they protecting themselves. So this is very important. And create value, be distinctive. So, we are Android developers and we create Android apps and games, which is fine, but at the same time, we know that now Android is just beyond phones and tablets, is getting global and is scaling to different devices. So it's always good to think about what could be the next step, what could be the new device that I want to be on, where the competition is not there yet. So for example, if you think about the Fire TV and TV in general, it's a great new field for mobile developers because you have a mobile operating system, which is Android, and Fire OS is based on Android as well. And the competition, there's already thousands of apps, not hundreds of thousands of apps. So you can get the spotlight on your app quite easily. So that's it for protecting ourselves. So what we can do to be safe. But now let's go a step beyond. Let's see what we can actually do to gain rank, to be more on the spotlight. So this is a very interesting concept, that people are very open-minded about new things as long as they're exactly the new ones. What does this mean? Well, actually, this means that there's usually no need to reinvent the wheel. There are very common practices that you can use, and you don't need to rethink everything from scratch every time. Because you want your users to be able to use your app when the first time they turn it on, they should not learn about how to use it. They should already be able to use it. So again, listening to your users is very important. Listen to their feedback. Listen to and make their life easier. It's important. You need to connect with them. You need to listen with them. So again, you will be surprised of how many developers, they don't just disregard reviews. So let's say, for example, you publish an update, and all of a sudden you start seeing one-star rating that says, this is not working, the app is crashing. And some developers think, oh, yeah, this probably happens because this device is bad and they don't know how to use it. Well, actually, most of the time, there's an actual problem with your app, and you need to be on top of it and fix it very fast. So listening to your users is very important. Again, don't reinvent familiar mechanics. There are, as I said before, there are a lot of apps out there. So before starting creating something from scratch, take a look at what's there. And maybe there's an open source project that you can use to make your life easier. There's a common pattern to do that. So think about the share feature. As an Android developer, like looking at different projects and different apps, I might have seen probably like 40 different ways of implementing sharing a picture. There's an intent to do that. It's like, I guess, like 3 lines of code. Like, just use that. Don't create something necessarily from scratch. Choose the right monetization model. So, again, some developers, they just create the app, and they say, I will find a way to monetize it. It's not important. Well, actually, it is. This is how you make money. So, yeah, there are some cases where an application was become super popular and then has been sold for a lot of money. But it's always good to think about a monetization model for your app before you actually publish it and before you actually present it to users. And not all the monetization models work as the same for apps. So you need to be careful and consider which one is working for you. Could be a good idea to have a premium app if you have a lot of features and you just want to bundle them and publish them. Or you can go freemium, so you can have more users and then have in-app purchase. It's actually depending on what your app do. And later on, we will see today another interesting monetization model that we've been working on. In and over until it's over. So another thing that you will probably be surprised is the number of developers that actually go through all the process of developing an app. They even put it on they fill out the form on the developer portal, and they never press publish. The app just sits there. And why is that? Because sometimes developers, they say, you know, maybe I can add a new feature, maybe I can make it better, maybe it's not 100% working, and they just delay publishing the app. This is not actually good practice. You need to go the extra mile and just publish your app. This is very important. You need to commit. Your app's not perfect. Well, I'm telling you a thing, you might be surprised, but it will never be. So just if you have something which is working, just do it, just press publish, go for it. You can fix it later. You know, there's things called updates. You can use it. So also, as I said before, it's important to be on the devices your customer use. So it's always important to track what your users are doing. You can use analytics, you can use, and then you can also guess, you know, I have created a media streaming app for the phone. Could it be a good idea to have the TV version of this? So they can start watching video on the phone, whether on the move, on the tube, or on the bus, and when they get home, they can start doing the same thing on their TV. So it's important to be on the devices your customers use. Try to understand how can you leverage your app in different ways and on different devices. This is a very interesting phrase that the founder of Geek Squad said. Marketing is a tax you pay for being unremarkable. And that might be true, but actually marketing is something that we need to do as developers. Because we design your app, we develop it, and then we need to publish it, and we need to get people excited about it. And actually, marketing is not just for big corporates. Pretty much anyone can take marketing steps, and it's something which is very tied to being a developer. You need to know what you can do to make your app visible to users. So again, your job doesn't stop when you publish. You need to go the extra mile. So one important thing, the name. The name of your app is one of the most underestimated components of an app marketing. So what about you're creating a messaging app and you call it blah blah. And you just publish it as blah blah. So you can have downloads on that, but what about calling it blah blah instant messaging app? So again, the brand, it's important, but it's also important to make your users fully understand what they're looking at. And I want now you to think about when you are downloading apps and going through app stores, what is the two things that you see? There are two things that you see. So one, we just saw it. It's the name of the app. Who can tell me what is the second thing that you see? The what? The icon, exactly. So, well, actually there are multiple things, but icons are also important. The icon is very important, actually. It's the most important asset of your app. And why is that? Because again, it's the first thing that they see, right? The icon needs to be good. If it's not good, the users will think, you know, this app is probably unprofessional, because if the icon looks unprofessional, probably the developer didn't really commit in creating the app. And another thing that needs to be crafted very carefully actually happens on the second step after that, after the users have seen the name and the icon, which is the description. And this is one of the most underestimated assets of your app. So some developers, they just say, you know, I will just write down 5 words about it, and that's it. Or sometimes they just they write down an entire paper which is never ending and you're never gonna read it. So again, think about your app's description as a dating profile. The description needs to be sexy, needs to be attractive, needs to get your user excited about your app. So the first line sells. The first line is what I would say 99% of the people who reads your app description will read. So the first app sales needs to be exciting, needs to be something that sticks in the mind of your users. Then you need to highlight only standout features. Please don't make a list of all the features of your app. I mean, let the user discover them. Just add the 2-3 main features, what is actually cool about your app. And just add that. Use subheads and subtitles that are, again, catching attention, and pay attention to the details. Don't just publish something just for the sake of it. Just focus on what you're crafting and make a description that you, as a user, not as a developer, would like to read and to get excited about. And again, put your best visual foot forward. So we already said about the icon, right? The icon is the most important graphical asset, but at the same time, we need to be careful about all the other assets. Like think about screenshots. Think about making a video of your app. So some developers just take the first 2 screenshots of their development device and publish that. And what if your app is actually supporting like 4, 5, 600 different screen sizes, or it's also available on tablets, and so what will you do? So you need to have a variety of screenshots. You need to highlight through a video. A video it's much easier because they just tap one button and they absorb about your content. You can let the user discover your app through the video. So this is very important, and commit to it and make it look good. More apps increase your impact. So this is a kind of a tricky subject when it comes to startups and freelancers. So sometimes startups and small companies, they focus on a single app or on a single game. They'll say, this is what we do, which is perfectly fine if you have like a main threaded business model and your app is really working. But if you can commit to actually have more apps, you can use a thing which is called cross-promotion. So you can actually, let's say for example, you have a very successful app and you start creating a new one and you want to kickstart downloads and exposure for this one. You can actually leverage the app which is already there and it's already successful to redirect users to your new app. So you say, you love this, you might want to take a look at this. And trust me, this is actually really working really well. So leverage your entire catalog. Explore every avenue possible. So again, some developers sometimes think that they will just publish in the app and maybe tweet about it will be enough to generate demand gen for their app. Well, actually, there are a lot of different channels you can use. You can actually, of course, use social media, but you can also use different avenues. There are different type of social media. There are different type of PR that you can do on your app. And also you need to pay attention to influencers and advocates. So this is a quite interesting quote from Tony Hawk. So Tony Hawk had a really compelling social media strategy about talking to his fans. So actually, using social media, it's important. It's very, very important. It's a way we can create viral content about our apps. And when I talk about social media, I don't necessarily mean just Facebook or Twitter or Google+. There are actually new type of social media that you can use. And one very interesting social media is Twitch. And so Twitch was born as a platform for streaming live content about games, about gaming. So there are a lot of people doing reviews of games or live playing, like live streaming their experience while they play games. Actually turned out to be also a quite interesting platform for development. So I'm tell you this. What if, even during the development of your app, you can already create a user base for your app? So there are actually a lot of developers which are now live streaming the development of their app, and they have thousands of people who just watch the app become live, apps and games. So there are, for example, users that say, you know, this level you're creating, this is great. What about making the final boss much harder to beat? Or why, can you make it green? Can you make it more interesting? And it's not just about games. There's actually people doing Android live streaming on it. So now I want to ask you a question. What do you think will happen the moment when, after the whole development process, where users were actually contributing to creating the app and the game, the developer will announce, you know, starting tomorrow, the app will be available. And you have 8,000 followers there. Don't you think that these users will be interested to pay €1 for a game they actually contributed creating? Or won't they download it and give a good rating? And tell you what, they will. So this is an interesting new platform that you can explore. And it's not the only one. There's a bunch of them you can try out. So influencers are important. Early adopters are important. They come in different shapes and sizes. You don't necessarily need to have a huge community. You can, sometimes what you need is just the opinion on a single person, which is very influential. So industry pros are important. The people who are doing reviews, which are doing blog posts on Android apps. There is a lot of users which are paying attention to these opinions. So who of you know the name PewDiePie? So PewDiePie, for the one of you who don't know, is a reviewer of games, and he has a YouTube channel which is very popular. He has millions of followers. And there is an interesting story which is behind the game Flappy Bird. So Flappy Bird came out and he had quite a number of downloads. But one day happened that PewDiePie published a review of Flappy Bird and said, you know, Flappy Bird is awesome. I love this game. And if you were to look at the graph of the downloads of Flappy Bird that day, it had a spike in downloads. And actually, after this spike, the downloads just stayed there and started increasing. So the opinion of a single person actually influenced millions of users. So what I'm saying is that, okay, so Flappy Bird is a very unique case, but actually it's not. The downloads caused by influencers are something that even you can foster. And what you need to do is just, you need to commit in creating, for example, PR bundles. So create a zip file which contains all the screenshots, a description of your game, the APK of your game, and just send it to the press. And this way, you will have people just trying out your game. And what if one of these people will actually do a review about it? It can be a game changer. Also, another way, it could be welcome community contribution. So again, this is quite important because actually think about that. Think about your app not just as an app that you want to monetize. Think about it as a platform for other developers to rely on for making money. Or to get more exposure. So for example, Watchmaker has been a very successful app in wearables. So basically allows to create watch faces for wearables. And it allows themes from other developers to be published on. So anyone can create that. And so you are basically creating a platform for other people, and they will rely on it. And they will start talking about your app. Say, you know, in order to have this watch face, you need to install Watchmaker. And you can do the same. You can do it with apps. You can do it with games as well. You can create, so for example, some games are creating sandboxes, which are like an open platform for other people to create new levels and to share them with other users. So try to open up your app, if possible, to community contribution. This is very, very important. And additional income and revenue. So sometimes it's not just about the app. It's not about the app you have published. You can have actual additional revenue streams related to it. So again, Twitch, for example, can be a revenue stream. Or Kickstarter, you can do a Kickstarter project about your app. There are people who's doing this. Let's ask, I want to create this app. Can you, this is the project. Will you contribute to it? Merchandising. So, for example, there's been Rovio and other games companies and apps companies are creating T-shirts and merchandising around it. Think about Angry Birds. There are like now T-shirts, there's a movie coming out, so there's a bunch of different merchandising around it. And about merchandising, I have a kind of a surprise today for you. So let's have a recap of what we have seen today. So first of all, the sneaky tips. Jerks will always try to game the system. They will there will be malicious developers out there. So what can you do? Shut down the jerks. First thing, don't be a jerk. So don't pirate other people's app. That is bad, bad, bad. Know the space, so monitor what's going on and try to understand if other people is taking advantage of your app in a malicious way and if they're cross-publishing. Defend your copyrights. Be able to demonstrate that you have the ownership of your app, that you can demonstrate it. Have a friend of each store. So again, hi. At me. Join industry groups. The group makes you powerful, amplifies your voice. This is very important. This is what you can do to protect yourself. When it comes to gaining rank, to get more exposure for your app. So first of all, know your customer. Know what they want. Know what devices are they using. Publish everywhere. Publish to different devices. Publish to different app stores. Publish for different use cases. Market your app. Don't assume that people will just know about your app. They won't. Just go for it and tell people, you know, my app is great because this, this, and this. So to do that, you can choose the right name, make your app discoverable through the name. This is very important. Craft the description. Take time and explain to your users why they should be excited about your app, how they will use it, and why it's important for them to have it. Maximal visual impact. Craft the app icon. If you have to spend money with the designer, the first thing you need to spend on is on the app icon. And think about all the screenshots and assets of your developer portal. Leverage your catalogs. More apps, it's better. So if you have them, do that. Use social networks and spread the word about your app. Again, don't assume they will know about your app. Just go for it. And turns users into fans and advocates. Try to create a user base even before the app is there. Create buzz, get developers excited, get users excited, and even get developers excited if they can leverage your app. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. But another thing I want to share with you today is what's new in Amazon App Store. So basically what Amazon is doing to make the life of developers easier and how this actually relates to what we have seen today. How can you foster it? So a couple words about the App Store. So as the word says, Amazon App Store is the store for mobile applications provided by Amazon. It's for Android and HTML5 apps, but actually App Store is more than that. So, of course, it's the default App Store and the only App Store available on the Amazon Fire tablets and on Fire TV and Fire TV Stick. It's also available on BlackBerry OS X, but not everyone knows that actually Amazon App Store can be installed pretty much on any Android device, phone and tablet. So you have a very various user base, and let's talk some numbers. So there are more than 500,000 apps on App Store, and we're increasing the number and selection every day. We want to provide a great selection to our users, and we pay attention to what apps are published. And we want to provide a good service to developers as well. We want to make sure that you are comfortable with the apps published and that your apps are also not harming users. And we're available in 236 countries and territories, which is also interesting because actually the App Store is available in more countries than the Amazon retail website is available in. So we're basically, not saying everywhere, but 236 countries and territories. It's kind of a big deal. So now I want to tell you about some of the new cool projects that we've been working on and how they actually enables you. So one type of users you want to really engage with is power users. So for the one of you who don't know what power user is, a power user is a user which is okay with spending a lot of money on your apps. So there is people which is also sometimes spending 400 euros on a single app. These are power users. So how you as a developer can enable these power users to spend more and to earn more revenue from these power users through your app. So when we had to think about this, we came out with an idea which is called Amazon Coins. So Amazon Coins is a virtual currency that the users can use to purchase apps, games, and even use for in-app purchase within apps. So think about it when sometimes there are games out there where you pay for virtual currency within the game, and then you can use that currency to purchase items within the game. We took the same concept and applied it to buying apps. So actually, we're offering discounted rates for more coins. So the more coins you buy, you can have a 20% or 30% discount. So for the same money, you can actually get more apps or spend more for in-app purchase. So for developers, this is great because we can actually enable you guys to run unique promotions. You can tell your users, you know, if you get coins, you can get much more like weapons in your game, so you can get much more in-app purchase in your apps. And we can run these promotions with you. And it's a great way to promote casual and strategy games. So if you're a game developer, this is something you should definitely check out. So if you want to know more, so he says UK, actually it's pretty much everywhere. You can leverage it in Italy as well. Engage with fandom. So as I said before, there are different revenue streams, right, around your app. So it's not just about your app. So some developers, they want to create merchandising for their app, right? You want to create T-shirts about the characters of your game or with the logo of your app, and actually you can make money out of it. But you know what? Actually, it's kind of a tiring task. You need to decide how to create these T-shirts. You need to print them. You need to package them, sell them, and then your margins could be quite tight if you do that. So at Amazon, we wanted to fix that. And that's why we came out with Merch by Amazon. So Merch is a new platform that we launched in the last months. So it's a website where you just need to publish creatives of your app or game. Actually, it doesn't even need to be an app. You can, even if you're a designer or have a cool logo, you can just publish it on Merch. And when you do that, we will create a T-shirt with your logo that goes on sale on the Amazon retail store. So actually, in just a few minutes, you just need to drag and drop the image that you want to appear on the T-shirt, click submit, we review it, and then it goes online on Amazon. And it's available worldwide. And the cool thing is that when it comes to Android developers, iOS developers, and FireOS developers, we are actually providing APIs to integrate from within the app to the actual merchandising website. So you can, let's say, for example, your user finished the level or clicked on a feature of your app, like say, for example, finish the level of a game, big explosion, your character comes out. How cool it would be if in that moment you can say, just congrats for finishing level 1. What about a t-shirt? You can do that. It's easy with merch. And then we wanted to enable developers in different ways. So we know that there are models like freemium and premium, which are working fine for a lot of developers. But what if your app, for example, you have a lot of eyeballs, you have a lot of screen on time, but you're struggling monetizing? How can you do that? So we thought about a new monetization model, which is called Amazon Underground. And it's available in Italy as well. So what is Underground? So first of all, Underground is an app. It's installed within the Amazon App Store app, which on Android devices is also installed within the Amazon app. So what is Underground? Well, in Underground, all the apps are free. And I mean 100% free. They're completely free. So the apps on Underground are apps that you can find paid or freemium on other stores, but on Underground, they offer for free, completely for free. Even in-app purchase is free there. And you must say, well, wait a minute, Mario, but if everything's free, how can I monetize as a developer, right? How can I make money? Well, actually, on Underground, the monetization model is completely different because it's Amazon that is directly paying developer based on a per-minute royalty. So the more time users spend within your app or game, the more money you make. And that's it. So for the user, it's just free apps. And they don't need to bother about in-app purchase. Everything's free. So for them, it's great. And for you, it's just you want to have more users more interested in your app. So again, think about premium and freemium. If your app is very good, you're maybe monetizing the 4 or 5% of your user base. With Underground, you're actually generating revenue for every customer. So you're monetizing the 100% of your user base. If someone is using your app from the first minute, you are monetizing. You can increase up user base. It's just free apps. Who doesn't like free apps? Everyone likes free apps, right? And this is probably my favorite thing about Underground, is that maybe for the first time, you as a developer just need to focus on create a great user experience. So you don't need to focus about selling your app. You don't need to focus about selling in-app purchase within your app. You just want your users to be excited about your app and to spend time within your app. So, and again, you can start earning right away. Again, Underground is available already, so you can go there, take your app, and publish it. Of course, there's eligibility requirements. You can go on the developer portal and check them out, but pretty much any premium and freemium app can go on Underground, and you can just do it. So, for Amazon devices, so not everyone knows that the operating system which is running within Amazon devices, Fire OS, is actually based on Android Lollipop. This is kind of cool because as developers, you don't need to commit to create completely different apps. Actually, from our starts, 85% of Android apps just work out of the box on Amazon devices without any need of change. And again, Fire OS is the system that animates the Fire devices. So later in 2015, we launched a new line of devices, in particular the Fire tablets. So the Fire tablet, the 7-inch device, is actually quite a powerful device, but it's also quite cheap. So actually in the UK, you can buy it for £49, and here in Italy, I think it's like 59 euros. And actually, it's a full-fledged Android device, runs Fire OS 5, and think about that. So you have a device which also comes with Underground pre-installed, so users have free apps there. They pay for a device which is, again, is very cheap, and they have free apps on it. What do you think they will do? They will just go with it and play with it. Actually, we wanted to go the extra mile, and we also created a campaign where you can get 6 tablets for the price of 5. And if you think about that, is actually, for 6 tablets, you're paying less than the price of an average tablet. So we have customers which just buy this and just give devices to the whole of the family. So we actually sold millions of devices, and this is actually creating a new user base. This is sometimes it's people which will never buy a tablet otherwise. So think about that. You have a new user base. We can just tie into free apps through Underground, and of course through classical monetization models. You can publish your freemium app on App Store just like you do on other app stores. So that's it for today. So talking about Fire tablets, if you scan the QR code or follow this short link, there's this brief survey that you can do on this talk, so you can tell me if you liked it, if you didn't like it, and if you leave your email, you enter for a chance to win a Fire tablet. So what I will do, since I know that Wi-Fi here is not really working and probably you cannot fill the survey now, I will leave the survey open for the entire day, and then I will publish on my Twitter account who is the winner of the competition. So just scan it, please fill out the survey, add me on Twitter so you can make sure not to miss it. Of course, use your real email because that's how I'm gonna contact you if you're the winner. Make sure to visit our developer portal, developer.amazon.com/app store, and to also add Amazon App Dev, which is the official developer account on Amazon. So I think I've run out of time, so I will be around. If you have any kind of question, I will be more than glad to answer them. Just chase me, I will be around in the revenue. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your attention. Great to be here.